One starving girl, one millionaire. Their encounter shocked the entire city. Hello, welcome and welcome back. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe for more uplifting stories. Now, sit tight, relax, and enjoy. The restaurant glowed with golden light that spilled through its tall glass windows, casting reflections on polished floors and shining cutlery. Inside, laughter floated across the air, and waiters moved quickly, balancing trays filled with steaming food. At the center table sat Daniel Aoro, the millionaire everyone in the city spoke about. His suit was dark and sharp. His watch gleamed under the chandelier, and his presence alone commanded the room. Yet Daniel's eyes were fixed on the plate before him, barely touched. Across the room, unnoticed by most, a small girl stood at the entrance. Her hair was messy, her dress tall and faded, her sandals almost broken. Her eyes darted nervously as she clutched her stomach. Hunger made her bold enough to walk through the doors of a place she had no business entering. Slowly, she stepped closer until she was standing right beside Daniel's table. Guests looked up in shock, some whispering, others frowning at the intrusion. Daniel raised his head, his eyes narrowing. Yes. His voice was firm, controlled, carrying the weight of someone not used to being disturbed. The little girl swallowed hard, her voice trembling. Please, can I eat your leftovers? For a moment, silence fell over the restaurant. Forks froze in midair. Conversation stopped, and even the band faltered. All eyes turned to Daniel, waiting for his reaction. Some smirked, others whispered. A few shook their heads as if to say, "How dare she?" Daniel leaned back in his chair, his gaze unreadable. His wealth had insulated him from interruptions like this. He could have called the waiter to throw her out, ignored her, or scolded her. But instead, he studied her small frame, the way her ribs pressed against her skin, the desperation in her eyes. Something in him stirred. With a slow motion, he pushed the untouched plate toward her. Eat. The girl's eyes widened. She hesitated, looking around, then at him, unsure if this was a cruel trick. Daniel's voice softened slightly. Go on, eat. She picked up the spoon and began to eat. Small bites at first, then faster, as though afraid the food might disappear. Guests murmured louder now, some disgusted, others amused. One woman in diamonds leaned toward her companion and whispered loudly enough for all to hear. How embarrassing. A millionaire dining with a beggar. Daniel heard but didn't flinch. His eyes remained on the child, watching her eat as though it was the first meal she'd had in days. The girl paused mid-bite, glancing at him. Thank you, sir. I was so hungry. Daniel nodded once, still silent, but inside a storm brewed. He wasn't sure what disturbed him more, the child's desperation or the indifference of everyone else. He remembered the days when his parents struggled but still managed to give him food. This child had nothing yet dared to ask. And that courage unsettled him in a way no business rival ever had. Guests leaned closer to see what would happen next, but Daniel kept his eyes on her, his face unreadable. The restaurant no longer felt like a place of power. It felt like a stage, and everyone was waiting for his next move. Daniel's fingers tapped lightly against his glass. He was staring at Amara, but his mind was somewhere else. The girl had said it so simply, as though it was normal to live without parents. As though hunger, loneliness, and wandering the streets were just another day. He remembered himself at her age, his father alive, his mother fussing over him, their table always full of food. Even when they had little, they had love. But this child, she had nothing. Amara licked her spoon clean, and looked up shyly. Sir, can I take the bone? She asked, pointing at the chicken bone left on his plate. Daniel blinked. Guests nearby gasped. Some even chuckled mockingly, but Daniel slid the plate toward her without hesitation. Take it. Eat it all. Amara grabbed the bone with both hands, nibbling eagerly. It wasn't just hunger. This was survival. Watching her, Daniel felt something stir in his chest that money had never bought him. Compassion. The woman in diamonds leaned across her table, her voice sharp. Mr. Aoro, are you really going to sit there and let this child embarrass you in front of the entire restaurant? Daniel turned his head slowly, his eyes locking on her. His voice was calm, but his words cut deep. The only embarrassment here is that a child had to beg to eat while adults sat pretending not to see. The woman froze, her mouth snapping shut. Other guests looked down at their plates, uncomfortable. The band kept playing, but the atmosphere had shifted. Daniel's words carried a weight none of them wanted to bear. Amara finished the last bite, her lips smeared with oil. She sat back, pressing her small hands to her full stomach, and for the first time in months, she smiled. A smile so pure it melted something inside Daniel. She whispered, I don't remember the last time I ate this much. Daniel cleared his throat, suddenly uneasy. His life had been filled with million-dollar contracts, luxury cars, and high-rise offices, but nothing had touched him the way that simple smile just did. He found himself asking softly, Where do you sleep? Amara looked down, her voice barely audible. Anywhere, people don't chase me away, sometimes under the bridge, sometimes in front of shops when they close. Daniel's chest tightened. He picked up his glass but couldn't drink. For the first time in years, he felt powerless. Not because of money, but because money alone couldn't erase the kind of suffering this child had known. The waiter approached again. Sir, will you be needing dessert? Daniel looked at Amara, then back at the waiter. Yes, he said firmly. Bring pancakes with honey. Amara's eyes lit up, her hunger replaced with wonder. She had never tasted pancakes in her life. And in that moment, Daniel realized something. Tonight wasn't about charity. It was about change. Hers and his. The pancakes arrived stacked high, golden brown with honey drizzled across the top. The waiter set them down carefully, glancing nervously at Daniel, then at her eyes widened. This is for me, she asked almost in disbelief. Daniel gave a small nod. Yes, eat. She tore into them with joy, her little fingers sticky with honey, her laughter soft and sweet. It had been so long since laughter had come easily, but here it was bubbling out of her like a music. Daniel leaned back in his chair, watching. Something about the sound tugged at him, stirring memories he had locked away. For months, his life had been wrapped in silence. After his wife's passing, his mansion felt like a museum, cold but polished, lifeless. He had drowned himself in business deals and endless work. But at night, when he returned home, the quiet nearly crushed him. He found himself speaking without planning to. His voice was low, almost as if he was talking to himself. My wife, she used to love pancakes. Every Sunday morning, she'd make them for me. Said they were the secret to a happy marriage. Amara paused mid-bite, her big eyes fixed on him. For the first time, she saw not just a man in a suit, but someone who carried his own pain. Where is she now? Amara asked gently. Daniel's throat tightened. He rarely spoke of it. But tonight, words came easier. She's gone. It's been 2 years. The room seemed to grow quieter. Even those who had mocked earlier now listened. Some shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Amara tilted her head, her innocence cutting through his grief. Do you get lonely? Daniel blinked, caught off guard. No one had asked him that before. Not his business partners, not even his family. He gave a small nod. Yes, every day. Amara chewed slowly, then whispered, "Me, too." The simple words pierced deeper than any speech could. They sat there, two souls from different worlds, bound by the same emptiness. Daniel rubbed his chin, his voice steadier now. "You shouldn't be out there alone, Amara. A city like this. It's not safe." She shrugged. "I don't have a choice. I just try to survive." Daniel's jaw tightened. For the first time in a long time, he felt something greater than wealth stirring in him. Responsibility. Not the kind that came with contracts or companies, but the kind that came with humanity. He leaned forward, his eyes firm. "What if I gave you a choice?" Amara froze, a fork hovering over the plate. Her heart skipped. "What do you mean?" Daniel didn't answer yet. He looked at the fragile girl before him and knew the decision forming in his heart was bigger than anything he had ever signed with a pen. And the entire restaurant leaned closer, waiting. The restaurant had fallen into a hush. Even the band slowed, their soft notes filling the silence. All eyes were on Daniel and the little girl with sticky fingers and wide expectant eyes. Amara's fork trembled in her hand. "What do you mean?" "A choice?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel leaned forward, his gaze steady. "I mean, what if tonight was the last time you had to beg for food? What if you never had to sleep under a bridge again?" A ripple of shock ran through the crowd. Guests exchanged looks, their whispers growing louder. "Is he serious? He can't be thinking. This is outrageous." Amara blinked at him, unsure if she had heard correctly. You would do that for me?" Daniel's chest tightened. He had built skyscrapers, controlled fortunes, moved markets with a signature. But this question from a hungry child nearly undid him. He nodded slowly. "Yes, if you'll let me." Amara's lips parted, but no words came. Tears welled in her eyes. She had dreamed of a warm bed, of safety, of belonging, but never had she thought someone like him, a man everyone admired and feared, would say such words to her. From the back of the room, the woman in diamonds scoffed loudly. "This is nonsense. She's a street child. You'll regret this, Mr. Aoro. People like her don't change. They only drag you down." The words sliced through the air. Daniel rose to his feet, his presence towering, commanding silence once more. His voice carried across the room, calm but firm. "People like her? What about people like us who eat in luxury while children starve at our gates? If being human is a mistake, then I will gladly make it." The room erupted into murmurs. Some guests lowered their heads in shame. Others looked away, unable to face the truth in his words. Amara wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, her voice shaking. "I don't want to be a burden. I just don't want to be alone anymore." Daniel's throat tightened. Slowly, he placed a hand on her small shoulder. "You're not alone anymore. Not tonight. Not ever again." The restaurant fell completely silent. Even the music stopped. The weight of his declaration stunned everyone. Amara broke into sobs, not of sorrow, but relief. She clung to his arm, her tiny frame shaking. Daniel held her close, his heart pounding in a way it hadn't in years. For the first time since his wife's death, he felt alive. Not because of money, not because of success, but because of a child who had walked into his night and changed everything. And as the city lights glowed outside, a new story began, one no amount of wealth could have written. If this story moved you, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more inspiring and emotional journeys. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We treasure every message from you. Until we return, stay kind, stay hopeful, and stay with us.